We are now joined by Danica Patrick, driver of the number 7 GoDaddy.com Chevrolet in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. She's currently 10th in points. Danica, obviously, this weekend ends your first full season of NASCAR competition with in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Talk a little bit about your season, but specifically coming to Homestead this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, seems really loud. Yeah, end of the season. It definitely feels like the last day of school because you don't normally have to do much on the last day of school, and that's exactly how my weekend feels because I've been doing both. I've been doing double duty so many weeks in a row at the end of the year. So there's, I've made 4 laps today, so that was good, and it's been a good year. I've learned a lot. I feel much more prepared for next year. I feel more comfortable with the cars. I feel more comfortable with the weekends and the schedules, and yeah, so I feel good, and I'm excited about Homestead. I haven't had always the greatest races here, not necessarily. I guess it was my highest finish at the end of my first year, was the last one, but always been pretty loose in the race, so I guess that's good experience to take into this weekend and keep in mind as we set up the car for tomorrow night.
All right. Okay. We'll go ahead and start for questioning, and we'll start here with Lee. Do you have a mic runner? Okay, up front.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Your best Cup finish was a little bit overshadowed last week. Can you just talk about your run and what did Jeff Burton say to you afterwards?
Yeah, we were having a pretty good day. We started off a little tight, and being the second race that Tony Gibson and I had worked together, he was much more comfortable to take some bigger swings at the car in the pit stops. So, and that made all the difference. Within 2 stops, we had got ourselves to a spot where we were, feeling really, comfortable out there, and the car was pretty decent. So that made us, gave us the opportunity we were a lap down for quite a bit of the middle of the race, but then when the yellow came out later, getting our lap back gave us the opportunity to really make some progress. And I've always said, even the nationwide car, that if you can just be on the lead lap with a late yellow, shoot, anything can happen. And we found ourselves in 13th at the end of the race, and obviously, we had the incident with Jeff coming to the white flag, and which was unfortunate because it was such a running so much higher than I had been. But he called me, and I called him back, and I don't like you said, I didn't do it on purpose. I believe him. I think that when you get to the end of the race, and it was just a little bit of misjudgment getting into the corner. He said sorry, and he definitely didn't mean to. So, and I told him, I said, honestly, I give everybody 1 for sure. At least, I do. I mean, I gave Landon 3 or 4, so, or 3, I guess. So I do. I think that there's, every now and again, we really don't mean to make a mistake like that, and you don't want to start a war that, wasn't really there. So. I respect Jeff. He's been around a long time, and I always respect him more for giving me a call. But still finished 17th, so I suppose that could have been a worse finish.
All right. Continuing questioning. Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Bob Pocker, Sporting News. The highest finish for a woman in any national series point standings is 13th, so you will set that standard this weekend.
That just plays along with me finding out about records afterwards instead of before. That's how it happens. I don't know about these things until afterwards, which is probably a good thing.
Does it matter at all, or does it matter to finish top 10 in points?
Yeah, I think that just like when you have a run out there on the track and you just miss it and you get 11th, and it's just so much nicer to say you came away with the top 10 that weekend. So it will be nice if we can get a top 10 in points, and I feel like we should be there, but you never know what's going to happen. It will be nice, and it's nice to know that statistic, I suppose. Of course, I always hope for more, but you set records along the way, then so be it.
Okay, let's go here, and then we'll go to Claire in the back. Go ahead.
Dwight Drum, RaceTake.com. Danica, as far as the learning, you mentioned the learning curve this year. Could you compare your expectations in 2012 to the accomplishments on that learning curve?
I don't know if I necessarily knew what to expect. Well, that's not true. I thought I had a lot to expect when I started the year off, and I think that's what that's what put me in a little bit of an unhappy place after the second race in Phoenix. Was I just expected it to be going a little bit better right off the bat and be a little bit easier, but it just wasn't. So I think from race 2 on, or after race 2, I just started setting more realistic goals again, and and sometimes you have to change them a little bit, because one year to the next things change, cars change, drivers change, teams change, and you just have to adapt to the new sort of spot where you fit in. And I had to sort of reestablish that it was top 10s and 15s was really what I was going for. I really thought that later in I was really seriously secretly shooting for definitely top 10s from the get-go, and maybe more, and I was let down, and that's when you get into a bad mood, and that's when you get sad, and that's unproductive. So I feel like my expectations this year were just to see how I was doing along the way and adapt that to where I thought I should finish. And until I start finishing there all the time, then I'm not changing my goals, and no matter how long it takes. And and then you have to find little victories every weekend, because it's a long season. And so even if making a mistake taught me a lesson, you just got to come away from that as a positive.
All right, Claire, go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. What can you do during the off season to prepare? What does it look like? It's such a short off season, but what can you do? I know testing probably part of it, but what do you do?
Relax, get rejuvenated for the next one. I've always been a fan of the off season. I have no problem with it. I don't think to myself, I wish I could drive every single day or weekend. Although I don't mind. I can't believe I wouldn't mind right now. I thought that I would be exhausted or tired or more ready for time off, but I almost feel like driving every weekend gets you feel a routine in it, and it feels good. And so I wouldn't mind if there was still more races left in the season, but I'll always take downtime, and I think it's gonna allow us a little bit of time to recoup, get ready for the next season, mentally, and get excited. It's important to get excited about the next year and be anxious and want it, and then it'll allow us to test and focus on some of the things that Tony Gibson and I have felt like need some work, so that we can be better off next year.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Gilles Claren for French television. We don't often have the opportunity to cover NASCAR races, so I wanted to ask you, races have been added in Mexico and Canada now. Would you be interested in having more races outside the U.S.? What is it like racing outside the U.S. for you?
I've definitely raced in Mexico and Canada a lot, especially with my IndyCar days. I find that the fans are really excited in both those countries. I think that what we have to look at as a series is, what grows the overall sport, and how can we make the sport more attractive to sponsors. So I think in some situations, sponsors look at they work domestically, and it doesn't do anything for them, and that can be a negative when they look at that. And in other situations, they want to get more international, and it can be a real big help to have races outside of the country. So I think we just have to look for what's best for the sport. As far as a driver goes, you get on an airplane, you land somewhere. It doesn't matter if you're landing in Canada or Mexico or Ohio. It's about where the race is.
Okay, do we have any additional questions for Danica? Okay, let's come up to Holly, please.
This is more on a lighter note, but I think it's the question we're all wondering. Are you going to have Bruce Martin over for Thanksgiving?
Where has Bruce been, everybody? Where has Bruce been? And I don't have a rose this year. Didn't I get a rose at the end of the year last year? Oh, Valentine's Day, of course. Man, I'm fine. I think I'll be fine, actually. That's funny, though.
Any additional questions?
She said that, we all want to know, are you having Bruce Martin over for Thanksgiving? Dang it. Oh, so she picked up this. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. And I was missing my rose, but then I thought it was at the end of the season, but we just established that it was a Valentine's Day rose. So clearly I was way off on that one. But I remember getting a rose. So long live Bruce.
All right, next question.
Now, I asked you last year about what you were cooking for Thanksgiving. What's on the menu this year?
All the regular suspects. Yeah, I'm stopping Bruce. Oh, poor Bruce. There's probably going to be an article or something written. He's going to pick up on this. Would it be better if he was here to defend himself, or do you think he'll secretly enjoy this conversation? Yeah, I think he might secretly enjoy it.
You're feeding his ego.
You know, I think that Thanksgiving is a time to just pig out on the stuff that you want and let that tryptophan set in and sleep. And I always find it really funny how you need your like turkey sliders later in the night. You think about it earlier in the day, and you think, how in the world am I going to eat later? And of course, you get hungry again. I always feel like a fatty when I do that. I'm like, I just had a huge Thanksgiving Day dinner, and now I need turkey sliders. But on those Hawaiian rolls, those are my favorite. I could eat them plain, but with butter is better. I'm gonna do it with that, a little bit of cranberry, and some turkey. Maybe some mayo, right? That would be good. Maybe some mayo, pickle. I mean, it's gonna be fun. I hope I remember.
Any additional questions?
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. That's my last media availability for a while.